What's up, everybody, on this wonderful, wonderful Friday? It is the 15th, and I am your host, Sheena Simmons, with the CBD and KEKE. The title of this show is Voice and a Choice, because that's exactly what we have. And sometimes you forget how to exactly walk into and revel in your blessing. Plain, simple, period. And so I am so happy to have this opportunity to be able to speak with you all about these subject matters, because they're definitely important. Often our media circuits get caught up with some of the craziest stuff, like what are the Kardashians wearing and all of this stuff. The world has done a huge, hard reset. It just has. And so we have been forced to sit our behinds down and really evaluate and look at our value system, looking at what we want to do and realizing just how important and precious our own lives are. Okay? And so I definitely want to touch on that. I want to give everybody an opportunity to join in. This is technically the first episode, but I'm glad to have you guys here, so let's jump into it. So, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sheena Simmons from East Texas, 36 years old, and I moved to Austin whenever I was 20. I moved because I wanted a different opportunity for myself. I knew that being in a one-stoplight town wasn't going to get it, and I wasn't going to be able to grow, but I had no idea what was going to come down the pipeline. Hence, the voice and the choice. Now, it took me forever to put two and two together. Hold on, let me turn up my mic a little bit. Okay, it took me a little bit to put two and two together, and this is what happens whenever we evolve and grow. We realize that we do indeed have a voice and a choice. And just when things aren't, quote, working out the way that we think that they're supposed to, that doesn't mean that that God's mad at you or anything like that. It just means that you haven't evolved. You know what I mean? Your value system changes over time. Your tolerance level changes over time. You know what I mean? And then when you really work on it, your cutoff game becomes impeccable. I know mine is. But again, it's all because of that whole voice and a choice. Isn't it funny how you've been with yourself for so long and you forget just how empowered you are? Think about that. You forget about the power exactly that you possess. And I think it's because we start training ourselves and teaching ourselves based on how other people have trained us. And often the people that are the ringmasters that are training us to do things that are going to ultimately benefit them in the end. Okay? And so once I really learned and got a grasp on that, things changed for me. They really, really did. I was able to take myself out of that whole victim mentality, blaming mentality, and understand what exactly is going on here. There's a difference between being able to identify the things that have happened in life and then the things that you basically co-signed. That's ultimately what you're doing. Because when you think about it, we're in a free country. You can tell somebody to get the hell on if you want to. But with you wanting to be that person that's thinking, I'm going to be the game changer for this guy. We're just going to use guys as an example. I'm just going to show him or her, and teach them how to love and all these things. All the while, you're not pouring back into yourself and you're not understanding your lesson. So being in a situation where you're supposed to be, we'll just give an example of, let's say if you're dating someone. Have you noticed that before you really got your strength, it seemed like you were dating the same person, just different face? There's a reason for that. And then the things that you would accept were just packaged different. You know what I mean? And that's because you carry a lot of how you handle people at a base level based on how you were raised. So, perfect example. Hold on just a second. Apparently, my audio is doing something crazy, so I'm trying to turn you guys up. Give me just 1 second here. I'm so sorry about that, because I want to make sure you guys get this good old message now. Okay, so hopefully this is a little bit better for you guys. If not, then we'll just we'll do this again. So back to what I was saying. Handling how people treat you. So whenever you are a child of a parent that is an alcoholic, okay? When you're a child of a parent that's an alcoholic, what ends up happening is you're always in this weird fear mode and this fix-it mode, and you never know who you're going to get. And so you will find yourself having to over-compliment them, you mute yourself, and everything is based on keeping them from tearing up the house or reacting, okay? If you don't go and face that and talk about that and realize that and see what that was for in your life, basically, you carry that into your adult years. Now, you don't have to put your business out there if you don't want to, but, you know, I have no shame in it because I've always wanted to understand and see the why and figure out, why do I act the way that I act or react the way that I reacted? I was a child of a parent that was an alcoholic. And so I noticed that with me carrying that into my adult years, that had a lot to do how I would allow myself to be treated in personal relationships. First, I wanted to make sure that I was the complete opposite of what that is. So then I would, no matter how bad I was treated or if I disagreed with what my partner was saying, I would silence myself. Or I would be overly nice because I was like thinking in my mind, oh, well, the nicer I am and the more that I do for this person, they'll realize just how great I am and they'll treat me better. Get what I'm saying? Not until I moved out of my parents' house, got into adulthood where I determined for myself, I said, okay, childhood years you can't control. The stork drops you off wherever it drops you off. I think I had the raggedy stork that had the tags out on it, all of that, and it just dropped me off somewhere. I'm just kidding. Anybody that's a family member, I'm just joking. But but what I'm saying is it's now lost my dang train of thought. Yes, stork dropped me off at the wrong house, and I was with my parents, moved here to Austin, and I decided that younger years, you don't get to pick. Adult years, you do. And so went to therapy and got to figure out the hows, the whys, the whos. I put that information in my pocket, okay? So just to tie it all together, all these different things that we experience that would be labeled as setbacks are actually setups for what your big picture is going to be. Now, while you're soaked in it, you don't realize that that's what's happening. All you know is it's uncomfortable and you feel like it sucks and you don't like it. Then you start wondering, is God mad at me or something? But that's not it. That's not it. That is part of this huge setup that's going to be the beauty that you will end up embracing later. Okay? So just stay with me on that. Put that in your pocket. I'm going to give you guys some good wisdom, little nuggets here. Some of these little aha moments. I feel like somebody really needs to hear this message tonight. So I'm just hoping that the good Lord speaks through me in the most eloquent way and you guys get the message. Okay, so fast forward to living here in Austin and having that backstory of growing up with a parent that was an alcoholic, okay? So as I move on and I'm going through different relationships, be it platonic or romantic, even job relationships, I now, looking back, I notice myself settling for a lot of stuff. At the time, I didn't label that as settling. That's just me being agreeable, non-confrontational, just trying to get along, being the peacemaker. I hadn't realized about the voice and the choice. Knowing and tapping into your voice and then making a choice afterwards is the strongest tool you have in your bag, okay? It's the strongest tool that you have in your bag. Unless somebody is physically holding you down, you can make choices to get out of anything that you are in that you don't feel like you should be in anymore, that doesn't feel good to you anymore, that's not healthy anymore. You know why? Because that's your birthright. You're here on this earth. You don't have to settle for what you feel like is trash. It's okay to call a thing and see it for what it is and say, I'm good on that. No, thank you. But how do you get to that point? And how many of these trials do you allow yourself to go through? You start figuring that out whenever you start learning you. If you notice, we have all gotten really desensitized to a whole lot of stuff. My personal opinion, let's just pretend like planet Earth is your iPhone and it did a hard reset. It did a hard reset of sit down and expose. The sit down was COVID. The sit down was COVID. We sat in our houses. We freaked out. Some people drank bleach because that's what they was told to do. You know what I mean? But a lot of the things that we did was us doing those things because that's what we were told. That's what we were told. And we will often do what we're told because we're thinking that's the right thing to do. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. But it's also extremely important to make sure that you are doing your own research and staying in contact with your star player. You know who your star player is? That's you. How many of you clam up? And I know that you guys that are, listening over the airwaves, you can't respond back. People are going to think that you're crazy at the red light if you're driving your car, but oh well, who cares? But being in contact with your star player, how many of you guys get nervous when someone asks you, tell me about yourself? Isn't that funny how that question of, or someone asking you to tell them about you, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, you have to think about it. Fool, you wake up with you every day. But it happens. We forget because we don't know what side we want to present. But it's not even that. It's not saying that everybody's running around here two-faced. It's, when you think about it on a deeper level, you're like, I know me. But then you're asking yourself, what do I think they want to hear? You don't just rattle it out and say it. You stop, and then you give the answer. Watch, test it out. Even go to somebody in your house that you live with, okay? You can't get any closer than that. This person lives in your house or even your neighbor and ask them, hey, tell me a couple of things about you. They're going to say, and have to think about it. We worry so much about the opinions of others and how we're going to present and how we're going to show up in the world, okay? Women, especially, boy, let me get on that train for a second. And then I'm going to talk about my guys too. But ladies, we got a lot of things to juggle in the air, do we not? we've got to balance making sure that we are the right